Returning to our top story, and it is the trade deal between the United States and the EU, which is good news for the Irish town that produces most of the world's Botox. And it earned its manufacturer, AbbVie, more than $3 billion in sales during the first 6 months of the year. Now, Botox, as you don't need me to tell you, medical and cosmetic purposes, and it's been referenced on everything from Sex and the City to the Simpsons movie.
The Dome has put an end to life as we know it. The town is running low on supplies of everything from gasoline to Botox.
The most Botox comes from a factory in County Mayo in Ireland, and the town of Westport. Keira Keogh is the TD, Member of National Parliament for County Mayo. She joins me now. Good to see you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. I didn't know it all came from this place in the West. Who knew? So much Botox. Anyway, we'll get on to that in a second. Look, you must be relieved. The pharmaceutical deal hasn't been fully done, but it does look as if EU pharmaceutical exports to the United States won't be as bad. Well, they're not going to be in the same regime as all other countries.
Well, yes, Richard, thanks for having me on. And we were relieved when, I suppose, the agreement was initially announced. And I know we're waiting for the end of the 222 investigations, but we are hopeful that the deal that was reached, with that 15% ceiling will stay intact for pharmaceuticals. As you mentioned, most of the world's Botox is produced in Westport. And, as a young child growing up in Westport, I was very familiar with AbbVie, or Allergan as it was called then, and we didn't know what Botox was, but we knew that this factory was really important for our beautiful town of Westport, employing 1,300 local people and about 500 contractors. So we didn't really know as children what Botox were, but we knew that this factory was really important for our survival as a town.
Pharmaceuticals in Ireland it is one of the exports to the United States. It's an important. I remember the chips and pharmaceuticals and all those sort of things. So how worried were you and other members of the Dáil that the trade war with the US was going to greatly and more adversely affect Ireland as a trading nation?
Yeah, I think we were exceptionally worried. We have always been of the opinion, that tariffs are not good, and I guess the consumers are the ones that pay the heftiest price. Ireland does export quite a bit to the US in relation to our agri-food. Our Irish whiskey is very popular, and liqueurs like Baileys and Cool Swan. But again, the pharmaceuticals is huge for Ireland, and especially in the west of Ireland. We have Johnson and Johnson, we have
Right.
Baxter, we have AbbVie. And so, if we had seen the likes of 30% and figures like that, it could have had a devastating impact. If you look at my hometown, we're a small town of 7,000 people. So if you take out, 1,300 employees, that would just wipe out the town economically.
I understand that, but the other side of this deal that we're talking about today that you will have seen talks about preferential market access for a wide range of US seafood, agricultural products, trees, nuts, dairy products, fresh and processed foods, vegetables, etc., soybean, pork and bison. Now, Ireland takes its fair share, but you're not really, let's be honest, the Irish farmers do not want wholesale importing of vast amounts of meat products from the United States.
I think the trade with the US is mutually beneficial. We have companies in America, like 770 at least Irish companies employing 200,000 Americans. So I think it is a mutually beneficial trade relationship that we have. And obviously the farmers would prefer not to see US beef coming in, but we have to keep working together on trying to get the best possible outcome for the businesses, for the consumers. And as we have always said, we would love to see 0 for 0. But if we have to accept 15%, I think that's something that we can live with. And I think at this point, this has been going on a long time. And talking to farmers, talking to businesses, talking to employees of companies, the real thing that people want at this point is certainty. And I think if we can get to the end of these 232 investigations and have certainty and move forward, that's really what we need at this point.
Now, a final question. In the town where the Botox factory is, elsewhere in the world, you would never dream of asking somebody, have you done Botox? Have you? But I'm guessing if it's manufactured up the road, you know, people sort of say, oh, yes, I got my dose of Botox. You know, I went and got a bit there. I had a bit done last week. Do people talk about having it done quite casually?
You know, it's funny, Richard, Botox wasn't actually available to get in Westport until very recently. And now there's a
Really?
couple of that are doing it. We don't have big aesthetic companies just yet in Westport. We're more like, people will be familiar with Westport, maybe with, they might have seen Lindsay Lohan's movie Irish Wish. We have the Greenway, the Wild Atlantic Way. It's a real rural part of the country, real picturesque. And yes, Botox is becoming maybe more commonplace, but up until a few years ago, no, we might have manufactured Botox, but we didn't sell it in Westport. So it was a very unique story, really.
Ma'am, I promise you next time we talk to each other, let's do it in your wonderful part of Ireland, which just, I mean, it is beautiful beyond belief. I'm grateful for your time tonight. Thank you.
Richard, you'd be very welcome. Thank you so much.